Bunch of wasted time.
From Microbe TV, this is Q&A with A&V. I'm Vincent Racaniello, and joining me tonight from Chevy Chase, Maryland, Amy Rosenfeld. Hey, Amy.
Hey, Vincent, how are you today?
I'm very well. How about yourself? Is everything good, or
So
should I not ask?
The vehicle.
Amy hates having a car. She hates it.
Yes. So, I get into the car, okay? You can't even heat up the car by the time I get home. From work to home, the car is still freaking cold, okay? Then the tire pressure warning light goes on. Doesn't even tell you what it is, doesn't tell you what the pressure is, doesn't tell you anything. When do I get rid of this fucking thing? I hate it.
Oh, no. You can't get rid of it. You just bought it, okay? And
Well,
you have no way to get to the FDA from Chevy Chase without driving. It's just not possible. So
they need to move Chevy Chase. They need to move the FDA to closer to Chevy Chase.
I don't think that's happening.
Because this is unacceptable.
Hello, everybody.
This is
welcome.
unacceptable.
Welcome to Wednesday night Virology, your little corner of the internets here. I want to welcome our moderators, Steph, Les. Who else is here? Dania is... Vanity Nutrition is in and out. She's studying for an exam. Tom is catching a flight somewhere. And
Frank, I haven't seen.
Haven't seen Frank. So welcome and thanks for coming, everybody. And if you notice, this is my second week of post-COVID, right? I tested negative. I tested positive a week ago Saturday. On Saturday, I tested antigen negative. And in the last few days, I've developed a little, congestion. It's really weird. Maybe that's the inflammatory phase, Amy. What do you think? No, I guess
Sure.
not.
We can go with that.
What do you got? What are you wearing? That's very nice. This gray thingy here. Is this cashmere?
It's always cashmere sweater. It's cashmere sweater turtleneck.
Turtleneck.
It's always cashmere.
Speaking of turtleneck, I bought this week 2 black turtleneecks. Maybe next
for
week
Steve
I wear
Job
one.
Fridays. Steve Job Fridays.
Amy thinks I should do Steve Job Fridays. But Twiv is tomorrow this week. Friday is something else. But
Steve Job Fridays.
Maybe next week on the stream I will wear a turtleneck and see how it goes over. Because Amy
It'll
said
be
the
good.
button down is getting a little tired, Amy says.
That's not what I said.
My fashionista, right?
Yeah, I said time to shake it up.
Time to shake it up. All right, so I just wanted to make one mention before we dive into...
Where's our vaccinated T-shirt stuff?
Okay, vaccinated.us. They're still running the promotion through the end of the year. Very nice of them. So you go to vaccinated.us and you buy a shirt. They're Spike shirts. They're very nice. Amy has one. And
I did.
Spike of SARS-CoV-2, of course. And
I wore it last week.
Right. It's a very nice shirt. People seem to like it. And when you check out, you use the promo code MicrobeTV, and that they direct the profits to us. We've done very well with them so far. Matt, I really appreciate your benevolence. And that's just great. So vaccinated.us. The other thing is that last time we talk often about all the papers Amy sends to me and Daniel via text. I have a huge list on my phone of all the papers that she sends me. And someone said, well, why can't we see these? I said, okay. So I made a website. Look at this.
Click on it. Does it work?
Yeah, I'm going to click on it, but I want to show people the URL. So it's https www.microbe.tv/the-amy-papers. What do you think of that name, the Amy Papers? How clever is that?
Good. It's like the Watergate Papers.
No,
right?
The Pentagon Papers.
The Pentagon Papers, yeah.
Daniel.
It's good.
Daniel, what was his name? Daniel Brannigan? No, that was a priest. Someone type it in. I don't remember.
The Pentagon Papers? Weren't they what, Carl Bernstein and
No, that
Bob
was not
Woodward?
Carl Bernstein. No.
Okay, fine. I don't know anything. I thought.
Anyway, let me show you this website.
So what was Deep Throat exchanging in the car garage with Woodward and Bernstein?
That was Watergate, yeah. That was Watergate for sure. But the Pentagon Papers was by another a reporter, Daniel something.
And Tom is here. I see
Tom, yeah,
Tom.
Tom is going to be here until he has to catch his plane to I forgot where he's going. Denver? I don't remember. Daniel Ellsberg. Thank you, Tom. Tom is of the generation who would remember that. Plus, he's well read, and so I appreciate it. So let me show you this website. It's pretty cool. I think I'm there. I just popped it together today, and I know that you will find fault with it.
I'm not
You're not going to
finding
find
fault.
fault. Let me see if I can.
Well, I don't know. I can't even see it.
I know I'm
It's
working
half
on
cut
it. I'm
off.
working on it. Hang on. I'm working on it. It's half cut off. There it is. The Amy papers, okay? Amy regularly sends me papers and preprints, mostly on viruses, but not always. Here they are for your enjoyment and education. All links mostly to PubMed. There's some preprints. Sometimes the PubMed doesn't work. I don't know why. So I have various things. Well, you can just click here, like here, and you'll go to the PubMed, and you can read the abstract. This is a very cool paper. Human type 1 interferon deficiency does not impair B cell response. And it's interesting because people with interferon deficiencies do very poorly, right? That's a big risk factor for severe COVID. But if they do survive, if they get vaccinated, not survive, this is not an infection. If they get the vaccines, they make a good response, which, frankly, to me is interesting. Is it surprising to you, Amy, that interferon is not needed for a good immune response to the vaccine?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm not really sure. It's surprising to me. I mean, I guess I really never really focused in on how interferon signals to B cells. I just thought interferon was was an antiviral that was separate. Yeah. But yeah, it could be, it's interesting, yeah.
Well, to the extent that interferons cause inflammation, inflammation is really
Yeah.
good for a good antibody response. So, but
Why
maybe
is
there are other.
inflammation good for a really good antibody response? Because it enhances the amount of cell infiltrate, or because it enhances the number of peptides exposed in the proper MHC
I think it's
conformations?
both. So the dendritic cells have to respond well to a certain mix of both peptides and cytokines that are produced in those early times. So I always thought interferon was a part of it, but apparently there are other cytokines that can substitute. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So actually, there's two back-to-back papers in Nature Immunology that I'm reading now about pan. What they were hoping to find a pan vaccine response.
Yeah.
So they looked at 800 people who had 13 different types of vaccines. Some were subunits, some were inactivated, some were attenuated. I mean, interestingly enough, they never included anybody who got IPV or OPV, but they included people who got yellow fever vaccine and metapneumonia virus vaccine and TB vaccine and blah, blah, blah. And in fact, there's actually no universal signature. But what's interesting about it is that interferon comes up very late after you give the yellow fever vaccine, like 10 days after you give the yellow fever
It's
vaccine,
very late.
whereas others
Yeah.
were much more efficient. So this is like now going to become a focus for me for OPV and
Very
IPV and
interesting.
OPV. But yeah, I mean, it's very, yeah.
Anyway, this
That's only like a short list. So what is that? That
I
only
mean, it's
looks
today's.
like
I
today's
went back.
papers.
I went back. I did it for about an hour before I left. Okay, so it goes back quite a bit. So I mean, it's just if you want to see what we're looking at, it's useful, and I'm going to use it to coordinate everything you send me, so I don't have to keep looking at text, and I can put it in one place. And I say, I want to do this for TWIV, that sort of thing, and then
Yeah, I think
other
it's
people
cool.
can benefit by it as well if you want to look at what's going on. So there you go. I know there are probably better ways to do it, but I think this is simple. It's just a link to the PubMed, and that's it.
Yeah, I just don't know how you can you get your text feed to go directly into it?
No, I wouldn't want to do that because then when you yell at me, that'll go into it too.
Oh, I don't yell at you, but no, that would not be good.
Let me see. I'll find you yelling. Hold on.
I don't yell at peoples.
You said tonight, what's with my tires? Why is the gauge going off, the light going off? You were not happy.
Exactly. I'm pulling out of the parking lot and all the dashboard lights go off except for this one thing that then I have no idea what it means. So then I have to pull over in the FDA street bobber, get out the manual, get out the glasses, turn on all the lights, figure out what it means. Then I have to stress about whether or not I'm destroying the car, destroying the brand new tires that I bought in September, destroying the wheels of the car because this is pressure. Then I'm thinking it's just PV equals NRT. And it's like so stressful.
PV equals NRT. Very good. You remember your gas
Ideal
law.
gas law. So stressful.
But you know, humans are not ideal gases. You realize that, right? Did you know? Humans are not ideal gases.
Yeah, but my tires are not humans.
How do you like my? By the way, how do you like my watch band coordinating with my shirt today?
I like the cantaloupe.
I think it's too close. I think this should be black or blue or something, right?
It's good.
All right,
it's good.
So I will update that literature list every day. It's very easy for me to do. Okay, now Denker is a long-time listener. Thank you for listening to us, and we appreciate that you enjoy it. Did I say Steph was here? I did, right? Okay, Steph is here too.
Steph and Tom and Les and I don't know.
Vanity.
But I haven't seen Frank.
I haven't seen Frank. Yeah. Maybe he shows up. Vanity's studying for a test. Good luck on the test. You may have questions. Ask them here. You could get answers.
Maybe. You can never tell what our knowledge is. Who whips out? My car is violating PV equals NRT.
Who would say that? But the nerdiest fancy pants FDA lady, Dr. Rosenfeld.
That's right.
It's not an insult. It's perfectly good to call you. Oh, here's another story. Wait, Ellen, I got to say this. So I have a few people on the train interested in watching this. So that my original guy that I met, he
the librarian from NJIT.
Yeah, the librarian. And then we met another woman and we were chatting with her a few weeks ago. And I gave her my card. I said, you should watch the live stream. It's fun. So he said to me this morning on the train, her name is Kimberly. He said, Kimberly does the best Amy imitation ever. Can you believe it? You are spawning imitations. That's the most sincere
Wait
form
a minute.
of flattery.
I want to. What does she do?
He said she puts her face on her hand like you're doing right now, and he says you got her accent. She has your accent down. So I don't see her anymore, so I don't know. She's not going to be able to do it for me, but if I ever run into her in town, because she lives in town.
Well, maybe she can just make a video of it and send it to you.
Yeah, that would be fun, wouldn't it? Imitations of Amy. Okay, sorry about that. Ellen, it's a good question. What was your favorite class in high school and what was your least favorite? Oh, okay, so when I was a freshman, I was pretty lost. I got much better as I graduated. I ended up finishing second in my class. Right, that's salutatorian. Valedictorian is first, salutatorian is second. And but my first year, I took Earth and Space Science, and I just did not get it at all. I didn't like that course. The guy was confused. Mr. Petrish. He was a nice guy, but I didn't like it. My favorite class, I had so many classes I really loved. I loved chemistry. I loved algebra. I loved geometry, but I really liked advanced biology with Mrs. Doden. She was a great teacher, and I had such a crush on her. It was unbelievable. I don't know why. She had the blonde hair up, and she wore
like a beehive?
Beehive, pencils, tight skirts, stockings, high heels, right?
Okay, so wait a minute. You're a teenage boy and you can't figure out why you have a crush on this woman who has a beehive and comes in pencil skinny tight shirts.
It's a total crush on her. And when she used to come and ask me questions, my heart would be beating so fast I couldn't take it. But it was my favorite class, not because of that, because the science was really fun. It was an advanced biology class. And did you ever have practicals in biology where you have to go around to different stations and solve problems really quickly? No?
No.
Anyway.
I went to work.
There was a practical, and once there was this little, what looked like a bone, and nobody knew what it was. It was a patella. Can you imagine? Nobody knew what a isolated patella looked like. Anyway, Mrs. Doden was a lot of fun. And I took regular bio and advanced bio with her, and it really got me excited about biology. So I have to credit her a lot. So Earth and Space Science was my least, bio and advanced bio my favorite. What about you, Amy? Do you have a least favorite class in high school?
Yeah, I do. So my least favorite class, and mind you, I took things like auto shop and shop and
Mm-hmm.
other stuff. But I would have to say my least favorite class was AP history class, AP US history class. So it started off bad. So
Yeah,
summer
that's the problem.
reading for AP US history was the book called The Robber Barons, which is
Mm-hmm.
all about Rockefeller and Morgan and Carnegie and Vanderbilt.
Right.
And then we went, instead of starting at like colonization of the US, we started with the explorers.
You didn't
And
like that,
there's
huh?
just so much there's just so many months I can talk about Magellan.
I got it.
I'm
Okay.
not really
Understood.
that interested in Magellan and shit. I was like, okay,
What about your
gotta move
favorite?
on. So I have to say I have two favorites
Mm-hmm.
classes. They were my chemistry class with Joe Geegan when I was
Mm-hmm.
a junior, and my biology class with Barbara Hershey when I was a senior.
Hmm.
But on top of all of that was my not going to high school in the afternoons and going to work at Hoffman LaRoche in my own little lab at high school. So Joe Geegan was my chemistry teacher, and he was great because every other class was an experiment.
Very nice. That's Hoffman LaRoche's in Nutley, right? Nutley, New
Yeah,
Jersey. Yeah.
yeah. So every other class in chemistry class was an experiment, and I loved burettes. For some reason, I thought that burettes were the cat's meow,
Yeah, they're
and
cool. They're
then
very cool.
they were. And then biology with Barbara Hershey, Marion
Very
Hershey,
nice.
not
Very
Barbara,
nice.
Marion Hershey.
All right. Good.
So it ended up. You want to know
Yeah.
how that class ended?
Yeah.
So that class ended with a bet of me that I would get no wrong on the AP bio exam. I got no wrong, and then I got 3 concert tickets. So she had to take my sisters and me to a concert.
Nice. Where'd you go? New York?
Went to see Billy Joel at Yankee Stadium.
Wow. Impressive. You like Billy Joel? Not a
Oh,
big
yeah.
fan.
It's okay. I think he's a talented pianist. I was 18 or 17, not even
Yeah.
18. I was 17. What do I know? I just thought it was cool to go to a concert in Yankee Stadium. How do you think that?
I think that's cool. Yeah. So Elena follows up. He learned about the birds and the bees in bio. Let me just add something. When she used to talk about worms copulating, I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle it. I'm sorry. I was a
Really? Can't
teenager.
understand why.
I mean, she's
Beehives, blonde, pencil tight skirts. Yeah, mind boggling for a teenage
okay.
boy.
Okay, let's proceed. Um, Polio Pete says Robert Califf has zero basis saying in a tweet that the updated booster increases your chances of being in attendance at upcoming gatherings with family and friends.
Well, actually, that's not true, considering the fact that he sent an email telling everybody at the FDA how he tested positive and developed symptoms.
Really?
So,
Well, Dixon was 2 weeks out of his bivalent booster and he got infected. So I'm not impressed.
that could just be coincidence. Plus, it probably takes a bit longer when you're older to recall your memory response. But according to you, Dixon doesn't really have any memory B cells. So
He may not have to things he recently encountered, but the things he encountered when he was younger, yes, he does.
yeah, but he recently encountered SARS-CoV-2.
Yeah, he did. Did you see the
So-
top 100? Did you see the top 100 Twitter influencers in infectious diseases?
No, who
It's
is
a
it?
paper in Infectious Microbes and Diseases.
Okay, so who's listed?
Do you want to know who's number 1?
Sure.
The top Twitter influencer in infectious diseases
Wait,
is.
am I going to need? Wait,
Well, it's not me. Don't
am
worry
I going
about
to
it.
need? No, I
This
would
is
have Am I going to need drugs and a tranquilizer?
Yeah, you are. Because number one
Okay.
is Helen Branswell.
You got to be shitting me.
Number 2 is Trevor Bedford. Number 3 is Mark Lipsitch. Number 4 is Peter Hotez. Number 5 is Angela Rasmussen.
Who was number 2?
Trevor Bedford, the guy in Washington.
And I know who he is. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm
Number
fine
3
with
is
that.
Mark
Number
Lipsitch.
3?
Mark Lipsitch.
Okay, again, I'm going to need to be shot.
Number 4, Peter Hotez. 5, Angie Rasmussen.
You got to be shitting me about number 5, right?
Michael Minna is number 8. And where's Vinny? Do you want to know where Vinny is?
Well, Vinny doesn't tweet, so it doesn't matter.
I'm number 33. Not bad.
That's great, but you don't really tweet. But you don't tweet. These people are prolific, and at least 4 of them are prolific with no knowledge whatsoever. Number 8 especially no knowledge.
Monica
and
Gandhi
lies.
is number 91. I'm happy to see that. Anyway, it's in a journal that I.
Well, you should have your publicist publicize that so you get more.
Oh, that's the other thing she's going to do is help publicize. Yeah, so that's
so
good.
like this is another thing to be publicized. You are a member of the top 100 infectious disease tweeters. I do not tweet.
I just tweet when I release episodes, and rarely between episodes. Now and then I'll get an urge to correct something, and then.
Well, I only make you tweet on like polio day, and then I tell my mom it's polio day, and you know what my mom says?
What?
You gotta love this. She's like, "That's so strange, Amy. Why do we have polio day? That's ridiculous. Why do we need polio
your mom
day?"
is curious. I guess you didn't follow your mom very much, more your father, I think, right?
Yeah, my dad is more of a basic scientist.
So Elena said, have you ever considered writing a children's book about viruses? No. But you know what I'm thinking? Let me show you something. All right. So I bought this book.
I don't know. I can't say it.
You guys know this.
It's not focused. Immune.
Yeah,
okay.
Immune by Philip Detmer, who's creator of Kyrgyzstan, the YouTube channel that has millions of subs. The thing that's good about this book, he's not an immunologist, but it's got good illustrations. Yeah.
Really? I haven't seen one of them. Oh, there. Okay.
They have good artists doing the website. I want to do this for viruses.
Well, you keep saying to me that you are going to do work, so you're just. I forgot what you told me, but you should start your book.
So I want to do that for viruses. I need a graphic illustrator to work with me. So if there's anybody out there that wants to work with me.
I think you should have a tweet out to David Goodsell.
David is too shy. He wants to do his own
Well,
thing.
you don't have to have him on the podcast. You just have to have him illustrate your book. I think it would be a great thing. Just tweet out there, David, would you be interested?
Well, just if there's anyone out there that wants to do graphic art with a virus book with Vinny, if you know someone, let them know. Tell them to contact me, Vincent at microbe.tv. I really want to do
a whole book where I'm not mentioned once.
What are you talking about?
You told me it was Vinny and the viruses, no Vinny and Amy. That's what you told me.
Listen.
I'm just
I can't really write a book about my life. There's too much I don't want to talk about,
I never said you should write an autobiography. Do you see me writing an autobiography?
No, I don't really. Did you read?
Oh wait, Mike is here. Mike is here. He'll make the
Strauss?
figures with you. Yeah. So you should do it with Mike.
Mike is not a graphics guy, is he?
Yeah, he is.
But he's
really
too busy.
Good.
He's just starting a lab. He can't do this. But, Mike, if you're interested, we got to make a lot of illustrations, We have to make a nice
He'll be really
book.
good.
How do you know this? Have you sampled his artistry?
Of course.
Okay.
He's my collaborator. What do you think? I'm an
let's-
adult?
Of course I don't think you're adult. I've worked with you for 27 years. How could you be adult?
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder about
I could have picked it up early and then said, this is it, Amy. All right. So, John's here. Good, John. I'm
John,
glad you made
I
it.
don't
So
know
John has
who's
been unable to be here, so he made a new account, I guess. Good to see you, John. We'll get to your question
who
in a
is
bit.
John, and how do we know him?
All right. So a number of weeks ago, John said, I got a timeout by the mods. He said, it's okay. Can you put me back? And we couldn't figure out how to put him back because he wanted to donate. And now he's back, and he must have opened a new account. So I will highlight it when we get to it later. So there you go. Denker says, saw a clip of a man from Wuhan drop dead as he walked down the street. Your presentations have removed fear and changed energy to fight for solutions. Thank you. From an active boomer, a baby boomer. I'm a baby boomer too, except I'm not as old as you. Okay, let's continue. Polio Pete to the CDC, FDA, and White House. FDA is in there. Comparing yearly COVID vaccines to flu vaccines is irresponsible. One is for past variants and the other for future ones. I would say that you shouldn't compare flu and COVID, right? We hardly know
I am
anything.
sure he misunderstood the FDA's position. Specifically considering the fact that my boss came out and said that flu and COVID are two different beasts.
Yeah.
We know nothing.
He did in the Wall Street Journal, right?
Yes. So I am very clear that he must have misunderstood the FDA's position because my boss is very smart and he would not say something like that.
Tom has to leave. Thanks, Tom. Have a good trip, and thank you for being here. See you next week. Okay. Thomas, thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it. Amy, talking of support, on the last TWIV, I announced that we're giving away a signed textbook with all the authors' autographs for $5,000, right? And five people wrote and said, I never got my book last year. So I have to order 5 and autograph them. That's fine. But it's interesting how people come out after not, I didn't know because we don't have good records of this, right? That's the problem.
Well, soon, hopefully you'll get someone to help you do the records.
Rima, hello, Rima. If you noticed, your nice needlepoint is behind me in every podcast at the incubator. And I just got this. Congrats for being coronated. Right. I got a coronavirus. You get it, Amy? Corona.
I got it.
Can you ask Daniel about a remdesivir injection? Polio, what do you want to know? You're talking to, and remdesivir is intravenous, right? What do you want to know? Daniel at microbe.tv. The Daniel episode is tomorrow, so please get it out by the morning, okay? Do I have any pets? All right, Amy doesn't have any pets, right? Amy has a plant now, right?
A plant?
Yeah, you
no,
broke
I have
down.
dirt.
I have dirt. Amy visited this. When did you visit? I don't even remember. Summer?
In July, right before the 4th of July. I visited to pick up my viruses, and then Doris convinced me to take home a pot of dirt, which she called a calla lily. And then I referred to it as the pot of dirt. And then we had a whole discussion about dirt. And then I said, 3 weeks ago, the dirt is dead. And Jonathan confirmed that the dirt is dead. And tomorrow he's coming to look at it. So he's going to take care of it.
Did you bring it in? Did you bring it inside?
Yeah, it's inside in a plastic bag.
That's fine. There's nothing to do until the spring when you get the first thaw.
I'm going to consult with Jonathan.
All right. So Amy has a plant.
I'm consulting with Jonathan.
It's calla lilies. They're very pretty, courtesy of us.
They're lovely. I love them.
She doesn't have any pets. We have 2 dogs here, Luna and Pepper. They're very nice dogs. They bark too much. I can't take it. And that's why I don't want to do anything here to record anymore because they just look out the window, they see a fly, they see a bird, they see a deer, and they start barking.
Well, that's what dogs do. So get this one. So I don't need a pet myself because I got tons of pets at the FDA. I got deer, I got geese. This afternoon I saw a possum, a raccoon, and a weasel. But when I was driving into the FDA on Sunday, there was this creature I took a picture of because I didn't know what it was. But
Yeah.
apparently, Ira told me it was a woodchuck. He was sitting up on his hind legs in the middle of the road, stuffing his face.
With what? Nuts?
I don't know, whatever woodchucks eat.
Well, they don't eat carrion, I'm pretty sure.
But whatever. Sitting in the middle of the road.
So Andrew
You had
says, we had a discussion on whether it's dirt, soil, or earth. And your pot is probably earth, right? Well, you call everything dirt, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's soil. Soil, it's soil. You're potting soil.
We
and
went
that's it.
we went to Home Depot and we bought topsoil.
Yeah. So one of our dogs is named Luna, and I know that Rima, who is here, has a cat named Luna. Luna's a good name. All right, Les says, I have a friend hosting a dinner party. Do you think it's necessary to have the bivalent on top of 3 shots? No. I don't think so. I mean, Dixon had a bivalent. It didn't prevent him from getting reasonably symptomatic COVID, which was treated with Paxlovid. So, Les, my feeling is 3 shots. That's what I have. That's what Amy has. 3 shots is enough. I got infected. I had symptoms. I took Paxlovid. It was beautiful. Life is good. That's the way I think you should do it. I don't think it's going to impact transmission very much at all. It seems to me that the bivalent is not really doing much for preventing infection, even 2 weeks after you get it. 2 weeks when antibody levels should be high. So,
Well, of course, it's not going to affect infection.
That's correct. Not after a few months, but even 2 weeks after, it should affect infection. But it's not going to. I mean,
Well, you would tell me that Dixon is old and he doesn't make any memory B cells, so you have to.
No, but Amy, at 2 weeks, you're not depending on memory B cells. You're depending on effector B cells that are going to be around for maybe a few months and then go away, right? And then you depend on memory cells, and then Dixon is screwed, right? Because he can't make memory cells. You're right. Okay.
Oh wow! It's the 2 farms. We haven't seen Kip and Laura in a while.
Yeah, there they are. Very cool. Okay, here's the Vanity. I'll be big molecular biotest tomorrow on PCR sequencing and control gene. Vanity, this is a piece of cake. This should be no problem. You should do this in your sleep. You should walk up and down the plane aisle just reciting this stuff. You go up to someone.
Would you like? Recite it. It's all very logical. All she needs to do is demonstrate she understands leading strand DNA replication. That's all it is. She should
say, going down the aisle, would you like PCR sequencing or gene expression control? That's it. It's fine.
Well, the truth of the matter is the only difference between PCR, leading strand DNA replication, and sequencing is when you add the nucleotides.
Yeah.
And that's what you should write on the exam and call it a day.
You want to get it right, Amy. You never know these graders. Now, this is interesting. This is a backwards name. Hello, it's always good to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate when people say it's good to see you. Because people don't always say these things. I get on the train in the morning, and nobody says that they're happy to see me. Nobody.
Who's at your station, and don't you get an open seat by yourself?
Yeah, I do often get an open seat, but sometimes Michael is there, and he sits next to me in the morning.
Who?
Michael, the guy I met months ago. A year ago, he told me today we met.
Are you having a date?
No, I'm not having a date. What are you talking about, having a date?
You met a year ago, so it sounds like an anniversary.
Cut it out.
You need a date.
No, cut it out. It's not that serious.
Oh, okay.
Eleanor wants to know how many different vaccines are currently being developed. Many. There are a lot of COVID vaccines still in development. If you go to the Milken vaccine tracker, you can see. But there are also non-COVID vaccines. A lot of people are trying mRNAs for different viruses, right, like flu and RS and HIV. And then people are trying vectored vaccines. They're trying Nipah, Hendra. They're trying Ebola vaccines. So there are many. Many, many, many. And which is the most difficult to make? I don't know. Amy, which is a difficult vaccine? I mean, to develop, I think that's the point. We don't have any herpes vaccines. We don't have any HIV vaccines. Those are really hard to make for whatever reasons. And Amy would say, we're never going to have an HIV vaccine. It's a waste of money, right?
Pretty much. Let's move on. Let's stop killing people.
I think sometimes, Amy, you have a little bit too little patience and you move on too quickly.
It's 50 years.
Can we give it another 10?
No.
So you think we've exhausted all the approaches to...
If it's a shitty immunogen, it doesn't matter what vaccine you make. It's going to be a shitty immunogen.
All right, fine.
That's
So I'd
just
say
the way it works.
the most difficult are HIV, herpes virus vaccines in general, and HIV. Right?
HIV is not going to have a vaccine.
All right. All right.
So we need to move on. We need to move on from the fantasy land.
Tom
It's
says,
not of any benefit.
Twiv 954. Which one was that? Was that Michael Letko? Yeah. Did you like Michael Letko, Amy?
He's good.
I like Mike. I liked his messed up hair. I thought that was so cool. Anyway, Tom liked 954. Twiv 841 on several are RV virus? What is RV? Or is it RS? I think it was RS, yes. Respiratory syncytial vaccines. I remember that. Correlates of protection in non-human primates. Yes. It wasn't antibodies, Amy. What do you think about that? It wasn't antibodies.
Luckily, I'm sitting down. A girl could hurt herself from the shock of it all.
Indeed. Indeed. For those in D.C., there's a new store called Because Science, selling cute
tchotchkes. Yeah. Crapola that we don't need. Because then when it comes down to it, we say it's too cluttered. And then when I come along and I say we should throw this away because we need more space, there's always some story. Oh, but this nice lady sent it to me, but it's cluttered.
Says it's kind of like a pop-up store to maximize income for the holidays. Maybe you should go and advise them, Amy.
No, I'm busy 3D printing my virus and antibody structures that Mike is doing.
Amy, put the wire
I could
behind
have
your
a
ear.
mobile.
Put the wire on your right ear. Put
It is behind my ear.
Yeah, it's popping out. And the wire should go behind your back, not in front. But do it another time. You notice how you don't see mine in front? It goes down the back. Over your ear.
I understand it goes down the back. I don't like it go down the back because when I move, sometimes the earbuds fall out of my ears because my ears are shallow and narrow. And then sometimes I feel like I choke. So this way I can see that I'm choking myself. You know, I got lots of issues there, buddy. You got to deal with it.
Such a deadpan delivery. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Got to deal with it.
Here's MK from Eastern Massachusetts. Welcome. Very good to have you. And Doreen,
maybe she'll be nice and knit you a sweater.
Is happy Wednesday wherever you are. Glad to be in tonight with my buds. That's right. We are buds. All right. Amy uses mice in her experiments. I wonder if she ever feels sad for the mice. Does any particular type of experiment result in a dead mouse? How long do mice live? How are lab mice special? Dead mouse is a good musician. Do you know that person, Dead Mouse, Amy?
Yes, I do.
You do? So Amy doesn't work with mice directly. When we were doing our project, I used to do the mouse work. And Amy will tell you I would occasionally have a mouse die after I bled it. And how did I feel about that, Amy?
We both felt horrible.
Yeah, we didn't
we don't
like
like
that.
to gratuitous killing, and it's painful.
I'm happy to
and to say that I indirectly do mouse work is not correct. Because for that experiment, yes, you did the mice, but for all the collaborative cross mice and all the Zika brains and all the astrocytes and all of the other yuckiness, especially when a certain individual that we know and love used to say to her brother, why don't you come and squish mouse pups like ketchup?
So you have worked with mice yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, don't negate my experiences.
So all lab mice end up dead. At the end of your experiment, you sack them. I mean, they only live two to 3 years, right, Amy? So
No, they
But
live less than that. It's
so
not good
you
to
sack
keep
them
them
all at the
longer.
end. And when Amy left, we sacked all the mice. Basically, they're all gone.
No, I kept some of them. I sent them here.
Sent them there. Okay. How are they special? They're inbred, so they're genetically the variation is restricted. Genetic variation is restricted in the
Some of
different mouse.
them, some of them, that's it. Some of them express the polio receptor.
Yes, you can make transgenic mice. Yeah. So mice are a precious resource, as are any laboratory animals. You shouldn't abuse them. You shouldn't, as Amy said, use them gratuitously. You should think very carefully about whatever experiments you're doing. So I think they're living things and deserve respect. But not everyone looks at them that way. They're just E. coli at a bigger scale.
No, they're not. So the safety people came in and asked me because my IBC protocol that got approved says we're going to use E. coli. So you know what the guy said to me?
What do you say?
So he said to me, are you using E. coli? You know, the stuff that you wash off your cantaloupe? And when I told my boss that, he just rolled his eyes in the back of his head. He was like, "You got to be kidding me."
Cantaloupe. Wash off your cantaloupe. So you can have E. coli on
Wash
the
off your
outside.
cantaloupe.
Yeah, you can. You can have it, right?
Yeah, but it's not DH5 alpha. It's like some, something
No.
that ends with 015.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wash off my cantaloupe. Unbelievable.
You want to know the exact name?
Sure.
What is it? H105?
Something like
So
that.
the ones that come from cows, and if you get them in you, it makes you very sick.
Yeah, that's why you have to wash your cantaloupe.
What does Amy miss about New York? One thing. You can't say Vinny. What do you miss?
And I can't say vehicle, right? Not
Vehicle?
using the vehicle.
Oh, not
I hate
using
the
the car.
vehicle. I never
That's
had a
fine.
vehicle in New York City.
I think that's
didn't.
fine to say you miss not needing a car.
No, I mean I miss lots of things about New York City. So I miss the free So it was much easier to get it. It was much more cultural, right? I miss Day bars. I miss the Fairway. I miss going to the Middle Eastern market on the east side. So food wise, it's not as diverse here. It's not as easy. Central Park, there's nothing really equivalent to Central Park. There's nothing. I mean, the museums are great, like the Hirshhorn galleries, and we're going to go see Vermeer over the weekend at the National Gallery and stuff. But it's not the same as the Met and MoMA. And while I live next to Saks is just not right here.
It's not right. What does that mean? It's not right. They don't have the right stuff.
They got no stuff.
Here's the thing. According to Amy, everything should be either white or black, right? Clothing should be white or black or gray. So you got some gray on. You don't wear other colors, right? E. coli 0157:H7. Thank you, Les. There you go.
Yeah.
Comes from cow guts and does bad things to people.
Yes.
Let's see.
And what do I like best about Chevy Chase? Out of
Yes.
every place. Okay. So one of the things is, although I do have to say it has changed since I got here, it was like a utopia. There was no homeless people here, which I find very upsetting in New York City, to be honest.
Oh, you find them. You don't find.
I find them very upsetting. I find the
Yeah.
fact that we're a very cruel society, that people have problems and we have no means to help them. And it was very upsetting to go up and down the 168 and 181 A train station stairs because there are tons of used heroin needles. I mean, we're not even kidding anybody anymore. It's just a shooting gallery. But so I didn't have that. And I felt like, okay, maybe this was more acceptable. But I do have to say, now on Wisconsin, outside the Starbucks, before you get to Western, there is a man who pitches his tent every night. It's very upsetting.
Sorry about that.
And when I got lost on Saturday coming home from the retreat,
Got lost.
one wrong
Did
turn.
you have a
One wrong
GPS?
turn, yeah. I was talking to Jonathan. No GPS when you're talking to Jonathan. So one wrong turn out of the University of Maryland at College Park, and a 27-minute drive takes you an hour and 42 minutes.
Oh, poor Amy. I'm sorry.
Hour and 42 minutes.
Wandering Amy.
Yes. So I was on Massachusetts Avenue through DuPont Circle, and right south, the southern part of DuPont Circle looks like tent city. It's like homeless people just pitched a tent and
Wow.
pitched a tent and pitched a tent, and it's like we should really be doing something. Like this is just not good. Not good.
Agreed. At least they have tents. Okay.
Yeah, but if they like in San Francisco, they don't need tents, but it's
warm.
still not good.
It's mild, yeah. All right. Kang wants to know, are Koch's postulates still applicable to identify pathogens since some are not culturable? So we have to revise our Koch's postulates, and people have tried to do this. Ian Lipkin, do you know Ian Lipkin, Amy? I shouldn't say that. Ian Lipkin has written an article on, the modern version of Koch's postulates, because not only are many pathogens not culturable, but often you only have the genome sequence, right? So how do you associate a genome sequence with a disease? And so they've been modified for sure. But even Koch realized that his postulates, they were instructive, but not absolute. He knew there were exceptions his postulates didn't work. So, it's a guideline. You have to be flexible. Oh, let's look at this. We have a quote. Humanity has but 3 great enemies: fever, famine, and war. Of these, by far the greatest, by far the most terrible is fever. I could be a Shakespearean actor. No, I couldn't. I could
Yes,
not.
you could. You
could
could.
not.
Do you know who William Osler is?
William Osler was the head of, I think, medicine at Johns Hopkins, right?
No, it's William Osler. He was at McGill. He identified insulin.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
He was
There's
a Canadian
Sir
physician.
William Osler.
Oh, he was a Canadian physician and one of the founding professors of Johns Hopkins.
Oh,
He created
okay.
the first
Well,
residency program, first to bring medical students, out of the lecture hall for bedside training. Very important man in the history.
But he also
of,
identified.
medicine.
He also identified insulin.
We're both right. Okay.
Yeah. But you know how I know this is because when I was at McGill, when you walked up Drummond to go to the actual building that the lab when you walk in the lab was considered to be in Sir William Osler Place or something. It was like
cool.
It was basically one building, which was the building that Nahum was in.
So speaking of McGill, I don't know if everyone knows, but we have a new TWIV host in the name.
Yeah, I know Angela.
Angela, and
the vet,
the veterinarian Angela, Angela Mingarelli, and her sister is going to be on TWIV in a couple of weeks. Her sister is an astrophysicist. And Angela is going to come to New York for that episode. I'm going to have both of them in the incubator. How about that? And then we're going to go to dinner afterwards. Woohoo!
That sounds great. You should have David and people come do the filming and stuff.
Maybe. Due Mingarelli.
What do you mean maybe? This is
sometimes he's
crap.
busy. Some nights he's busy.
Well, if you give him enough heads up time, he can schedule it in. That's the whole point of planning a calendar.
Okay.
I don't know where I went wrong when I raised you.
You didn't raise me. That's the thing. I raised you, young lady. I was your mentor. Okay? You did not raise me. And the thing is, you cannot now tell me I'm wrong because I raised you. It just doesn't work that way. No.
I don't know. It seems to be working any way that I want.
I've been trying that argument for months. It doesn't work. Here, I7 of 7. Very interesting question. I'm curious if you've ever learned anything in the lab that changed how you live your life or if it feels theoretical.
What feels theoretical?
Oh, everything we
I
do in
don't
the
get
lab
it.
is just theoretical, so it doesn't apply to your life. You've never applied it to your life. So what do you think? I'll let you go first.
What are you, crazy? Of course I've applied it to my life.
How so? Give us an example.
Well, what is everything you learned in a lab? Is that just the science, or is that how you
Anything. He says,
interact with people?
they say anything
So
you've learned.
everything. Okay. So how I interact with people I've learned tons of stuff about how to interact with people in the lab and being a supervisor in theory, which I'm not good at, and stuff. And that has changed my outlook of how I interact with people and how I look at
Okay.
life.
Okay.
And for years, you have said, make sacrifices today for choices tomorrow, experiments, and then you get the opportunity to do other things later in life. For sure.
I
How
told
I
you that.
look,
I told you
yeah,
that.
I said you told me that. Some of the findings that I've never published have influenced how I lived my life too, for sure. Some of the unpublished work that we have has influenced how I think about immune responses or viruses and just stuff, and has given me a greater appreciation for uh, prudently thinking through my experiments, although the reviewer said that we did not. Um, Especially when you have to do animals. So, like, for instance, like, we're talking about generating rabbit polyclonal sera,
Hmm.
and I really don't want to do that, right? Because
Yes.
it's, especially considering the fact I have over 120 enteroviruses, and 40 of them are just different isolates of EVD68, right? And I don't really want to do that because that's a lot of animals to bleed and sack and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Especially considering the fact that it's only being done because I know that when my paper comes across somebody's desk, who will name nameless, is going to say, "But you don't have a capture antibody, and enteras cut when they bind to plastic have different shapes, so your data means nothing." You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Of course I do. All right.
So it weighs heavily on whether or not, if I'm doing the right thing. But I know, like, the end finding is going to be a greater contribution to the scientific field, but still bothers me.
All right. So I just will say that I have learned in the lab that it's important to teach people science, not just the scientists in my lab, but outside of the lab. And I take that into my living my life because now it's all I want to do is teach people. And I learned that in the laboratory. What would be the takeaway from the spillovers with Michael Letko? There are viruses in bats, not just in Asia, that can bind ACE2 and get into human cells. And so, that may constitute some threat, although, you need much more than just binding and getting in, as we say often. So
Really?
it's the first
Considering
step.
the fact that that was a large discussion or disagreement between you and I.
No, you and I have never disagreed, Amy. How could that be?
Oh,
My
sorry.
mentee of...
I must have been hallucinating. I must not have had
No,
enough drugs that morning.
no, you're hallucinating. Don't worry about it.
I understand. I was
Amy
not having
should
enough drugs
Emmy
that
should use
morning.
quantum tunneling to get around. That's a good idea instead of a car.
How am I going to use quantum tunneling to get
That's a
around?
joke. It's a joke. Do you know
I
what
know.
quantum
I
tunneling
understand.
is?
Not really, but I could figure it out.
Is a quantum mechanical phenomenon whereby a wave function can propagate through a barrier. There you go. You could
Really?
propagate through a
I would
barrier.
rather use Scotty Beam Me Up from William Shatner.
That would be
And
cool.
anybody at McGill should know that the Shatner family is of the Shatner building at McGill.
Yeah. Okay. Janet had lunch with someone who tested positive and has to wear a mask. That's okay. What's the expected incubation period? It's 2, 3, 4 days, right, Amy?
Yes.
So here you go. Start counting. If you're not symptomatic in 5 days, you're released. But anyway, see you next week. What are your thoughts on this Florida Surgeon General's about mRNA vaccines in young males? He has said that you shouldn't take it because you get myocarditis, but this is absurd because the risk of myocarditis with vaccination is much less than risk of myocarditis with COVID or any other problem with COVID. So it's a poorly thought out argument made entirely for political purposes. What do you think about that, Amy?
So we're talking about the state of Florida, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, that's all I need to say. It's
Okay.
the home of 3 geniuses, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all we need to know.
Amy,
And we all know who those 3 geniuses are.
Amy, get a car where you heat it up with turning it on ahead of time with the key fob. Do you have heated seats?
No,
Oh,
my
oh,
seats
wow.
are not leather. My seats are cloth.
Okay.
I'm not buying a new car. I just bought this car. I didn't want a vehicle to begin with. I'm not a vehicle person.
Hmm.
As I said to somebody so Jonathan is coming to visit tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think. And I was like, this is why I don't need a vehicle. I don't need a tire pressure gauge. Now I have to run around to find a tire pressure gauge people. Apparently, Home Depot is not the place to buy a tire pressure gauge. Did you know that? I thought Home Depot was the thing of all things. That's like the store of stores.
Why
Has
isn't it the
everything that you
place?
need.
Why isn't it the place to?
Doesn't have an auto. It doesn't have an auto deficient.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm gonna. So the next question is from Elena. Let me show it here. Hold on.
I don't know. I don't
something.
understand what you're doing because you're
I'm trying to
looking
get a
and
picture.
writing.
I'm trying to get a
down
picture.
and stuff.
I'm trying to get a picture. Elena wants to know if the incubator is completely furnished and decorated. Any photos to share? Yeah, it is completely furnished and decorated. Our last edition, by the way, is a little sofa. I'm trying to find a photo for you. Let's see. Here we go. Here's a photo. I'll just put that up. But yeah, you should come by. You're up in Westchester, right? Just come by. Come by. Here it is. 1, 2, 3. Wait, there it is. How do you like that? Do you see that, Amy?
Let's see.
So that's our little addition. We got a little. It's called a love seat. It just fit in this short wall, I think. And I was sitting here tonight, working. It was very nice. There's a little kitchen, a little library. But come by. Come by anytime and visit. Someone asked if the end of November is a good time to visit. Yeah, you could come visit at the end of November. That Thanksgiving week is at the end of November. Sure, I'm there. I'm there all week. Try the veal.
Try the VL.
Any predictions about how the winter is going to go with flu, RSV, COVID? Some say a disaster. Hospitals already filling up. Where did I see an article saying it's not really cool to call? Oh, that was Jake Scott. He said, don't call it a triple-demic. We have no idea how it's going to go. And yes, in some places hospitals will be full and maybe not in others, but don't scare people.
Would that be the Wall Street Journal article that I sent you?
Yes, it is actually. You whippersnapper.
Yeah, I'm a whippersnapper.
Yeah, that was the Wall Street Journal article. But you have to send me because I don't subscribe.
Well, I'm the only one who reads the journal.
Well, you subscribe. I don't.
Actually, I don't subscribe. Andrew subscribes.
You can visit in the summer, too. Yes. Elena will find time to come down to visit. Do, Elena. It's a lot of fun. You can stay for half hour, I'll show you everything. I think predictions
Be
are very
nice, bring him
difficult.
a bagel.
I don't need a bagel. I just want to show people around because it's listener supported, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think we should predict. It's hard to know from these early days. Let's just see what happens. Sorry to hear, Ian, you had a bereavement. I hope it all works out and come back when you're ready. Yeah, for sure. All right, so here's some advice for what's her name? Amy?
I don't know. I'll get back to you.
Pressure lights go on every time air temps fall or rise around freezing point. Get an air check and have the tires filled to PSI levels. So she's going to do that tomorrow, right? You're going to go have your air tire pressure checked. I'm going to go have my car inspected tomorrow. How about that? It'll probably fail.
I don't know.
All right. Is there any known mechanism that would cause RSV or flu to be more virulent or transmissible post-COVID?
It's called an immune naivety.
What? Sorry, what did you say, Amy?
So we're more immune naive, right?
Oh, because we've been
That's the
sheltering,
theory.
right?
Right. That's the theory.
Yeah. So you have...
Didn't work out well for EVD68 theory, but that's the theory for this.
Yeah, we haven't had much in the way of EVD 68.
No, actually, that's not true. So between the end of July and the end of September, 70% of all respiratory infections in this country were EVD68. We just had no AFM.
No AFM, that's what I'm thinking about, yeah. Is that a reflection of fewer infections?
I just finished saying 70% of all of the respiratory infections that were diagnosed in the hospital or a clinical lab, using a clinical lab, were 68 for like 10 weeks.
That doesn't
So
tell
that's
me
a
if it's up or
shitload.
down.
That's a shitload of,
All right,
that's
fine.
a ton of EVD68.
All right, fine. So if you haven't been immune from previous infections, that would make the infection more severe. That's how it works. And Tom says, anecdote, but a second week cough was the experience in our household. I had quite a cough, very annoying, a week, and then it cleared up.
I think Ian can collaborate that too. I think
Corroborate?
That's what he said on, yeah, I think that's what he said on his Twitter.
Rach from the Isle of Man. What a memory I have. What do you make of the report that babies who are born cesarean have less immunity than natural-born babies? It suggested they need more vaccines. So they get a different microbiome, right? They don't get the vaginal
They
microbiome.
get no microbiome.
They get the skin microbiome.
They get no microbiome.
They get the
No, they
skin
get no microbiome.
They get the
Sure,
skin.
we can go with that. Fine, we could go with that. It's fine with me. We could go with that.
I've just learned that if I say it over and over, Amy gives in. What do you think about that? Amy, you're frozen. Oh, there you are. You're back. I don't know if they need more vaccines because every baby gets the same course of vaccines. I don't know why they would need more. They just make sure they get them. I don't think that's a problem. Has the ability of Omicron to invade the lungs in humans been cleared up by the ground glass lung sign per Dr. Griffin and Dr. Scott? Oh, no, the two do not agree. According to Daniel, he sees Omicron in the lungs, and according to Dr. Scott, he doesn't. These are different patient populations, and I don't think we should expect everyone to have the same clinical experience. Any thoughts on that, Dr. Rosenfeld?
I think the whole point of what has been missed by this discussion between these two MDs is how it is actually the most important thing, which is when you have high vaccine coverage, you have no severe disease, which I think is the whole point. And I think it was skipped over. That's all you need to. Yeah, that's all you needed to take away from this.
Yeah,
was you needed to have high vaccine coverage, and then you didn't see severe disease and blah blah blah. And unfortunately, that was skipped over with various gratuitous comments that didn't really make any difference. All it's about is a vaccine coverage.
I'm getting a lot of emails about those.
Yeah,
two
but all of
episodes.
it, at the end of the day, all of it is about vaccine
Okay.
coverage.
But I'm
One
still getting a lot of
population is
emails.
nine.
Okay.
Yes, that's because they skipped over it. And the
No,
whole point
because
of the conversation, which was skipped over, was all that we needed to focus on was one population is 95% vaccinated.
I agree with you. I'm just trying to say I'm getting a lot of emails about the exchange.
They can have any exchange that they want. They're still both wrong.
All right. Ay, ay, ay.
It's not my fault. I knew what the take home message was.
Stated by the Journal of the Chinese Medical Association for decontamination, corpses should be burned or buried deep. No, you don't need to burn corpses. You don't need to bury them deep. No.
Well, what are we decontaminating them from?
I'm assuming it's COVID.
I don't know. Maybe it's bubonic plague.
No. Why would it be bubonic plague in this day and age? Okay, fine. You're right.
There's
It's
a
not
plague
specified.
there. I was going to say there's a plague epidemic in Madagascar. Go talk
Right.
to Dixon.
Okay. If this were SARS-CoV-2, no, because the corpses are no longer breathing. They're not a threat any longer. Remember, contact is a main way of spreading. Is not a main way of spreading. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted. Marina says, please remind people about Amazon Smile. Yes. So when you go to Amazon, instead of going to Amazon.com, if you're in a browser, you go to smile.amazon.com. And then you specify Microbe TV as your charity of choice. You have to do that on the website. And then they send a fraction of their money to us. We get a few $100 every now and then. It helps. And also, if you're using the app on your phone or tablet, there's a way in the app to do the smile thingy. You have to look that up. It's not straightforward. So today, for the first time, Amy, in a long time, we have less than 400 people here. So I guess the pandemic's over, right?
What?
I said for the first time in a long time, we have less
Yeah,
than
I
400
heard the
people.
number. I'm just not clear how it associates with.
Well, I
whether
think
or not
people
a
are not.
pandemic is over.
People are no longer compelled to find pandemic information, and
I don't talk about the pandemic. I just talked about polio like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think.
And
other
then I talked
viruses
about
should
my
be-
tire gauge.
Yeah, I don't know if people want to hear about your tire gauge. That's the thing.
It's entertaining. That's all you need to
Well,
know.
actually,
My
someone said
tire gauge is entertaining.
they get their tire gauges at Walmart. So why don't you
Well,
go to
I don't have a
Walmart?
Walmart here.
I'm sure there's one somewhere.
I'm not driving 50 miles to go to a Walmart when I can drive to an AutoZone or a Pet Shop Boy place and buy a tire gauge 20 miles from here. My God.
Here we go. Luminous says, I have a newborn. I'm concerned about RSV to the point where I disengage from activities like sports to getting a haircut. Am I paranoid? Should I continue to disengage? What do you think, Amy?
I think it's a little not healthy. Yes.
To disengage?
Yes.
So he's worried about bringing home RSV to the newborn, right? But
I understand, but at
so
some
what kind
point,
of precautions can you take?
you can wear a mask.
Outside, right?
Mhm.
I mean, if you're concerned, wear a mask outside. It depends on what kind of, you just say sports. So that's a high numbers activity. So yeah, you could wear a mask. You could wear a mask getting a haircut. It's not unreasonable because if you have a newborn, RSV can be nasty. Agreed.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
So Rima says, I rented an apartment 2 minutes away from work because I hate driving. Unfortunately, it's not an
Right.
option for Amy, right?
No.
Are you sure you looked into it carefully? There's nothing near FDA to live at?
I'm sorry. What did you say? Did
Never
I look
mind.
into something carefully?
Never
I'm
mind.
sorry.
Just mistaken. I'm
Strike
sorry.
it from the record. Should we
Strike it from the
strike that
record.
from the record?
Judge, Your Honor, can we strike that from the record? Do we know if RSV or flu infection blocks or aids SARS-2 simultaneously?
I think there were preliminary studies that showed that interferon, due to a previous RSV or flu infection, would impede SARS-CoV-2.
But SARS-CoV-2 blocks interferon production, so that would not. That would make.
All of them block interferon production. It's still sensitive. It's extraordinarily
Yeah.
sensitive, actually. I mean, you should know that flu blocks interferon production. We went to use NS1 for certain experiments.
Yeah. What's the URL? I think you want the URL for. Here, it's right up there. Microbe
I don't
TV,
know
the
what he
80
wants.
papers. Yeah.
Oh, that's what he wants the URL for?
Beware the fungus flavored jelly beans. They don't taste great. Okay. I didn't know there was such a thing.
I can't imagine that somebody made a mushroom jelly bean. Although I wonder, would you make a cremini mushroom, a portobello mushroom, a white mushroom, a lobster mushroom, a maitake mushroom? What kind of mushroom jelly bean would you make?
I have no idea you knew about all those mushrooms. Why? 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 Why
Because
do you
I
know all
know
these
stuff.
mushrooms?
I
You
know
know stuff?
stuff. I
Okay.
know stuff. My
Wow.
God.
It's a lot of mushrooms. A lot of mushrooms.
Some people know stuff.
I'm in
I didn't
Ireland.
say I used new. I didn't say I knew actual stuff. But
I got a government health text informing me that I'm due my second booster and that without it, I'm at higher risk of severe disease. How can they justify saying this? They cannot. There's no evidence that, well, this is not a bivalent booster.
I don't know what it is.
It's just a second booster. So you and I have one booster, and it's a second one. You don't need a second one, except maybe if you're in a high-risk population. So they have no data that support that CC. And that's what you come here to hear. Yeah. So the interferon paper is saying even if you're very susceptible, vaccination works. Yes, exactly right. Absolutely right. Amy, if bats were completely eliminated, how much would it disrupt the ecosystem?
It'd be horrible.
This would be a mess because they eat a lot of insects.
Well, they also pollinate stuff and move stuff around. And yeah, it would not be good.
You know, Dixon was asked on the last TWIV what would happen if you got rid of all the mosquitoes. And he was about to ask, and he had a power failure. And he never came back, and nobody noticed it. Nobody has complained that there was no more Dixon, Amy. What do you think about that?
Not good. Not good.
Nobody missed Dixon.
Everybody misses Dixon.
Do you think smallpox may have resulted from camel domestication? Yes, I do, actually. The camels came over from the Americas. They came over the land bridge into, Asia, and went all the way to Africa in the Middle East. And there they were domesticated, and there they encountered rodents where it's thought that the smallpox came from. Yeah. It's a theory. Of course, we can't really prove it. Amy, do you think tuberculosis is an ongoing pandemic?
For sure.
Yeah, it's a big problem, right? What about malaria, Amy?
It's a big problem.
But we don't have malaria here in the U.S., so it's not a pandemic, Amy. Didn't you know that? I'm being tongue-in-cheek, actually, but...
Yeah, I did know that.
It's not in Europe. It's in tropical countries. So...
yes, and in our haste with global warming, we might find it comes to other areas.
Yeah, it will
With
eventually.
climate change.
Right. But even tuberculosis is not much in the U.S., right?
Well, we have better, sanitation and air quality.
Hygiene,
There's a
yeah.
ton of it in Europe, especially. And there's a ton of it in the Soviet Union, a shitload in China. I mean, it's a disaster. It's a disaster.
Yeah, I understand, but I don't know what a pandemic is anymore. It's something that WHO says to mobilize a lot of countries to take care about something that may be there.
It's all about acute. It's all about the acuteness.
Right. But it's just It's just
It's
a
really
made-up
about
word.
acuteness, right? Well, all of the words are made up, but it's about acuteness. It's about the acute number of people.
What words are made up? It's true. Yeah, it's all made up. You're funny. Okay, Gustavo says, I wonder if cancer virotherapy is still relevant as a final paper. Yes, sure. Using viruses. Amy would say no if she were your professor, because she doesn't think viruses are going to be used for cancers. But I think they are. But since when have we not disagreed on something? I think, Gustavo, you go ahead and use it as a final paper. They're cool, lots of cool examples that you could use. Yeah. How do macrophages tell the difference between normal and cancer cells? Often they don't, right, Amy? That's part of the problem.
Right.
Sometimes cancer cells have what we call neoantigens. Do you like my little quotation thing here? Neoantigens, which means they're not found on other cells. And that's because the cancer cell genome is mutating a lot because it's always reproducing. It's not supposed to be doing that. And you make proteins that are altered, so they look different from the other ones. We call them neoantigens. So that's another way. Yeah. Sally says there's two theories as to the RSV surge: lockdown, underexposure, immune system weaken, or COVID weaken the immune system. Which makes sense? Amy, which makes sense for $10?
They're the same.
No, COVID
They're the
weakening.
same, Vincent.
Or
They're the
lockdown
same.
no, it's not the same. Okay, tell
It
me
is the
why I'm
same because
wrong.
we went lockdown is the same because you went. It's due to the SARS-CoV-2 circulation, right? So due to SARS-CoV-2 circulation, we were underexposed or weakened our immune system, right?
Yeah, but I think the mechanism for the COVID weakening is that it somehow the virus has done something to people to weaken their immune system, and then they're more susceptible to RSV. I don't think that's the case. I don't think there's any evidence for that. I think it's most likely underexposure.
For sure, it's underexposure. I don't think I understand the question.
All right. Well, I just explained it.
That's fine.
I'm hearing lots of talk about the sharp rise in excess deaths, particularly amongst younger age demographics. Any insights or opinions? What do you think about this, Amy? I think it's just higher numbers of infection leading to more deaths, right?
I don't know. It just says deaths, right? So there's a ton of people. So like 4 people just died last weekend because they bought cocaine with tainted with fentanyl. So I don't know what it means. I don't understand what this sharp rise in excess deaths mean. I don't know how you're qualifying excess deaths because those 4 people in their 30s in New York City who bought fentanyl tainted cocaine is an excess death.
That's true.
So I don't know what it means.
You're right.
It's cold in here.
I can't help you. Midge wants to know how I would be feeling without Paxlovid. I don't know, Midge. I kind of wanted to know, but Daniel said I shouldn't risk it. So, I don't know. It's a good question. We will not know the answer, okay? Amy didn't even want me to test.
There's no reason to test.
I couldn't get Paxlovid, Amy.
Okay, fine.
Speaking of bats, flightless birds have evolved. Are there flightless bats? I don't believe there are. I don't believe there are flightless bats.
Oh,
Actually,
so this
there
guy,
is.
Jeff and Alexander. So listen to this.
Jeff is
Alexander.
from Nebraska. He was the guy who at one point was going to apply for a postdoc with you. So don't be nasty.
Well, he's being nasty. So he says, have you thought about having a rotating guest for Q&A like for you do for TWIP? So he wants you to get rid of me.
No, we're not
Which is
getting rid of
fine.
you. It's the Q&A
That's
with
fine.
A&V. We will have a third person. Yes, there is a flightless bat. The fleur is a sedentary insectivorous flightless bat. How about that? I didn't know that, but you know, Amy, never say never. It's amazing. It's very cool. And Tom loved your ideal gas law here, Amy.
Well, of course, PV equals nRT. Most helpful.
Does each subsequent infection of SARS-CoV-2 increase the chance of getting long COVID?
No.
I don't believe that that's the case, although you could
I
find
think
some
that there was
studies.
recently papers that said no.
So there's just a finite chance at each infection? Is that how it works?
I think the only chance is like from the first infection. I think that's what the paper said, if I remember correctly. I might be not remembering correctly.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
I remember a study that said, repeated infections can give you more likelihood to have organ failure and death.
Was that long COVID, organ failure, and death?
No, death is not long COVID.
Sounds quite acute, to be
Death is not
honest.
long
Sounds
COVID,
quite
no.
acute. Yeah, it sounds quite acute. Oh, crap. Sounds quite acute.
That was a VA study that actually was on your list. It just came out November 10th. It was on your Amy's
I'm
papers.
sure it was. I'm sure it was. But I don't think it's a long COVID. Death is not long COVID.
No,
Death
it
is
is not.
acute.
It is not. People keep asking me if viruses from different families or orders can recombine. No. I think they're too distant, right, Amy?
Right.
Yes? So do you agree?
Yeah. I agree.
Okay, here's some good information from Patricia. Amy, when it gets cold, your tires deflate. You need to check the air pressure with a tire gauge. The recommended PSI is on the driver's side door frame. But you're going to have a gas station do that for you tomorrow, right?
I'm going to have Jonathan.
Oh, he's going to take care of it. Very good. Amy has a visitor. Hello, Doreen. I, too, got a bad sore throat a few days into COVID, but unlike my usual ground glass sticky mucus ordeal, vanished in 24 hours. Thank you, science. Scientists, vaccine impacts COVID. Indeed.
Great.
It works.
Great.
This is good advice, Amy. Make great friends with a mechanic. That's absolutely right.
I made great friends with my hairdresser.
Is that more important?
Have you met me?
When are you getting your hair cut?
Saturday.
Next Wednesday is Thanksgiving Eve. Probably there'll be 10 people here next Wednesday. But I'll be here.
Making a pumpkin pie.
Will you be here for the live stream, Amy?
Did you not put it on my calendar?
I don't know. Yeah, it's on the calendar. Yeah.
So then I'll be here. I do what's on the calendar. That's how the calendar works. Otherwise, there's no point in having a calendar.
Okay. I've had 4 COVID-19 vaccine shots. I've never had COVID. I'm practically a hermit. I don't think I'm lucky enough to have HLA-B 15:01. Am I missing out on wider protection from organic infection? No. Have you had 4? I don't know how old you are. If you're under 70, you're fine. You're not missing out. No. What do you think, Amy?
She's missing out on life.
Yes.
Time to progress onwards.
Yeah, you might want to move back into life. I think it's important. I like this one from Tao's. Beehive yourself, Professor Vincent. With the beehive biology teacher. Remember, Amy? We're just getting to those now. Amy took.
How could I forget?
Doreen took woodshop, drafting, etc., along with math and sciences in high school. No limiting ourselves to the cooking classes. That's great.
Yeah, I took woodshop. I made my mom a napkin ring. I took metal shop. I learned how to solder. What else did I take? I took some other class that was next to the auto shop, but there was no cars. But I forgot what that was. That might have been pottery class. I forgot.
What kind of sequencing do you like best? Well, I did
Ay,
poliovirus with Maxim and Gilbert. That's my favorite, but I'm a dinosaur. What's your favorite sequencing, Amy? Illumina?
No, I did a lot of Sanger sequencing with sequinase and shark tooth combs.
So would you say that's your favorite?
Yeah. It was a skill. Let's just put it to you this way. I mastered a skill that is completely underappreciated of pouring the 6% acrylamide 8 molar urea gels with no bubbles that were bigger than my arm span. You know what I'm talking about.
I do. I do.
Yeah, I mastered that skill, and it's all. Not only is it underappreciated, it's absolutely nobody else would know what I was talking about.
I had a cough in my second week. It lasted all Tuesday afternoon. Well, that's not bad, right?
That's good.
This is very funny. So this guy says, I've been admiring you for 3 years. I would love to put you on a date. If I lived in the U.S., I would take you to the best bagel place and get the finest Barolo wine. How nice. Isn't that sweet?
Lovely. He can come and visit the U.S. and we can still go to the best bagel place and have Barolo.
Vanity
Yes.
is reprimanding me for tweeting little. Is great considering how little. I don't know what they're basing. Probably just followers, I would think.
No,
We have
it's not just followers.
What? How
It's
else
about
could they
how
do
much.
something? How else could they do it?
It's
They're not going
the
to go through.
well, they can. Yeah, you can figure it out.
No,
You
I
have
think
an
it's.
algorithm that says how many times have you tweeted in this time span.
I'm not
She's
trying to
not
be number
berating
one.
you.
I know. I'm just
She's
kidding. I'm
not
not trying.
berating you.
I'm not trying to be number one on Twitter. I haven't engaged on Twitter for a long time, but I use it for certain things. And I have to say, when I tweet, I get a few thousand more followers. So if I tweeted every day, I would have a lot. And you know what I'm doing? I'm hiring someone to do that for me because I don't have time to do it. So let's see what
Well,
happens.
get this. I've
Well,
tweeted, I think I've written 3 original tweets and retweeted 24 things, right? I have 1,500 followers. I don't know what they're expecting.
they like you.
1,500 followers. I do nothing. I'm
Listen,
too busy
Spartacus.
working.
Spartacus. Besides the bagel and Barolo, you guys would listen to Joy Division.
That would be cool. I like Joy Division. I also like Fine Young Cannibals and what did they become? Yeah, the band that they went into when I like all of them. Yeah, be good.
How long after getting
OMD,
COVID do you have immunity from getting it again? How long, Amy?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
So here's a good question. Where does the cardiologist rate on this Twitter thing? I don't find the cardiologist, which is
Oh,
not
for
right.
sure, Topol is there. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
not.
sure Topol is there.
Let me see.
Just plug Topol into some search engine. Yeah, New Order. Vanity is correct. New Order is super cool. And Yaz and Enya and various other people. Yeah, be good.
That's interesting. Topo is not on this list. I'm
Seriously?
surprised because he has a lot of followers. Yeah.
Well, maybe they realize he's a hack.
Why aren't we calling TB a pandemic? It's growing everywhere. It's not under control. By that token,
Because we live with it for a million years.
where do we draw the line and call or stop calling an infectious disease a pandemic? Well, I think one of the definitions or parts of the definition that we haven't really touched is that it's suddenly something that appears, right? As Amy said, TBs have been around for a long time. And so,
Would that be when I said acute?
Yeah, it would be. You cannot bask in your rightness all the time. You cannot do that. People will not like you. Okay?
Who said I'm basking? I'm kind of making fun of it.
Here's Mike. I'll help make figures for your viruses book. All right, let's
Yeah,
talk.
that's Mike. It's Mike. He said and y'all see, he says he has crayons, but I'm sure he has more things than just crayons.
Are you familiar with Roger Seholt? Yeah, I know MedCram. Yeah. I don't know about this genetic reasons for not getting COVID. Yeah, it's a paper. I think it's interesting. You make a short video on a paper that says something. It's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that because he gets a lot of views. All right, that's part one. Part two, cytotoxic T cell epitopes exhibited binding with a maximum number of MH1 alleles. And then it continues. Yeah, some peptides are good. They can hit a lot of MHC1 alleles because, as you know, MHC1 is polymorphic in the human population. Oh, here's John. So John had been unable to get on for a while, and now he's here. Thank you so much for your contribution. Vaccinated friend got chickenpox late at 13. She's 21. Her dad, mom, brother got shingles, not badly. Should she wait till 50 to get Shingrix?
I don't think they'll give it to her before 50, but if they do, sure, go ahead, get your Shingrix.
But she may be have some immunocompromised condition, which will make you even more prone to getting shingles. So, I think that's a good point. Whether they'll give her Shingrix at that age or not, they may not. Typically, the reactivation is much later. Yep.
Typically, it's not that contagious. You don't usually give it to the next person.
When can we get the Hotez COVID vaccine? Not in the U.S., right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not going to get it in the U.S. When will open filtered windows, HEPA greater than 13 regular cleaning events be mandated, encouraged? It's not going to be mandated, but it's already encouraged. Daniel covered a paper last week where he talked about these kinds of recommendations. So they will always be recommendations. Oh, you got your Parasites Without Borders stickers. Well, if anybody, should I give people a Microbe TV sticker, Amy?
For sure.
All right.
For sure.
So
everybody should get a Microbe TV sticker.
I should put up the incubator. I'm going to put the address on the screen. What's the address of the incubator, Amy?
352 7th Avenue, Suite 703.
Suite. Oh, I don't need them to know my address. No, I don't need to know that. What you need to do is just send me an email, Vincent@microbe.tv, if you want some Microbe TV stickers like this one. Here. Can you see mine, Amy?
Yeah, I see it. It's good.
I have a bunch of them. If you want them, give them to you. So Vincent@microbe.tv. And I will send it to you. Microbe TV. I like PWB is fine, but you should also have Microbe TV. Just freaking love tuning into you guys. Been a few years of phew. Yeah, we like having you here. We do. My state is running TV ads saying it's flu and COVID booster time of the year. I think we talked about this before. I don't think that's a good time. The COVID booster. They want you to get a COVID booster. That's why they're doing that. So they're mixing them together. Yeah. Questella's never heard dogs barking. I have a good mic that excludes them, I guess. Here we go.
Kip and Laura.
All right. Laura's hospital cases of COVID are up. Last week, 10 cases, now 21 today in the ED2. Remdesivir starts at 1 Paxlovid. Yeah, it's going to go up. It is the respiratory...
It's a winter virus. We're in winter season.
Did you know that woodchucks are species of marmot, also known as groundhogs? Is that what Amy said she saw outside the FDA? Yeah.
Yes.
13-line ground squirrels are very cute, yes. Is a SARS-2 vaccine that prevents symptomatic infection theoretically possible?
No.
Now, because the antibodies are always going to decline after immunization, you're never going to keep them high. All right, so I don't know if I should show this, but Polio Pete says, Amy's boss may be smart and knows the difference between flu and COVID. Then why the EUA for boosters? I don't think it was his decision. It was Peter Marks, right? I don't want to get you fired, so don't answer me. Okay, I'm just going to speculate.
I have nothing to say.
I don't know what is behind the FDA decisions. I think they may have pressure from the administration, but I don't know.
I have nothing to say. I don't.
No, don't say anything. Don't say anything.
I don't have anything. I don't have
Yes.
anything to do with it.
I totally agree with you. His experience is anecdotal, not antidotal, anecdotal. And you are absolutely right. We would like to see hundreds and hundreds of people who have gotten bivalent booster and see how they get infected. And those studies are certainly underway.
All of medicine is anecdotal. So let me get this straight. One anecdote, it's like bonds. So like when my sister was in the bond market, one bad bond is one bad bond. 400 million bad bonds pulled all together equals one AAA bond.
You know what Daniel says? 10 anecdotes do not make a what? What does he say?
Do not make data.
Do not make data. Right.
Yeah, his profession is all clinical observations, which are anecdotes.
Yeah. Can the lateral flow pick up inactivated virus particles? Yeah. Are they accurate to determine if we are contagious post-acute? No. They can pick up non-infectious particles, so they're only accurate to up to a certain point in infection. Do you know any good resources for college biochemistry and for learning and understanding lab techniques? Do you, Amy?
No. Except going to a lab, I don't know.
I mean, what kind of resource do you want? Do you want a book? Do you want to go to a lab? I'm not clear what kind of resource you want, because there are plenty of books out there, right? Both on biochem and lab techniques. But if you want,
yeah, I mean, I
else,
use Stryer as a biochem, but I also have Lowinger.
Are you going to discuss the Esperanza patient? No, we are not. I don't think the spontaneous cures are so interesting anymore. Yeah, second case of elite controller clearing virus, but it's never clear if it's actually control. Actually, I wrote about it on my blog, Amy. Recently, a 30-year-old female resident of Argentina was declared to be cured. She's an elite controller. I have a good blog post. You should go check that out. Want me to put the link to it here, Amy?
Sure.
Let's see. Look at that. The Esperanza patient at Virology blog. And thank you. It says from 2021. It's quite old.
Yeah, I was going to say, as far as I can tell, you haven't posted in a year.
Why are you being nasty to me about that?
I'm not being nasty. I'm not being nasty. I'm just pointing it out.
It's not nice because I've been rather busy with the incubator. The incubator was your idea, so don't give me hell for not writing at the blog.
What? You can't write at the incubator at the blog?
Okay, New Year's resolution, I'll start blogging again, okay? You don't care now. Now you don't care. After you nudge me and goad me, now you don't care, right? Oh, my gosh.
I mean, it's like you just don't understand how I work. Some days it's like, I don't know how we're related. I just don't understand.
Are we related at birth? No, that's
you and Raul.
Yeah. Pamela, now, because Pamela calls me Vinny, I'm going to read her email. Maybe you're too young. So far, my bivalent and 995 work brilliantly.
Yeah, she's 81.
I didn't get a bivalent. And I'm not too young. One can never be too young. Is that the right way to put it?
Yes, one is never too young. She's young, too.
And Polio Pete says he knows a lot of people who got bivalent then tested positive. But I think that's also anecdotal data. We have to be careful. Here we rail against anecdotal data, so let's not do that.
All medicine is anecdotal data.
Oh, this is Amy's saying for tonight. Can we make a T-shirt? All medicine is anecdotal data.
No, we
Unless you
cannot
do a
make a
randomized
T-shirt.
clinical trial, it's not anecdotal, Amy, right? An RCT, correct?
Of course, it's anecdotal.
No, I'm sorry. You're wrong on that. It's not all anecdotal. You're being
Sure,
a little...
You can put it whatever label on it you want, but that's fine. It's 400 anecdotes altogether under one umbrella. It's anecdotal, but whatever.
So John is taking advantage of his new freedom to to post, like Spillover with Michael Warby. There's an inordinate number of media personalities that have latched onto Lab Leak lately, unfortunately, but I try to point them to that one. Yeah, I think that's great.
That and Eddie Holmes.
Eddie Holmes is another one, John. If you haven't listened to that one, that's very good. Why do you think the mRNA vaccine for RSV was successful in trial when so many others have failed?
I think if you made the 2 prolines and you put it in other platforms, it would be fine too.
Yeah, you think that's it?
Yeah, it's just about the 2 prolines.
So how did it succeed? What phase are we in, Amy?
Phase 3.
Okay. Now we're talking about mice. Is animal testing declining in labs? No, if anything, it's going up. Oh, hi from Turkey. I tried to order a vaccinated spike shirt, but it didn't recognize my Turkish zip code. I'm sorry. Just send me an email, Vincent at microbe.tv, and I'll pass it on to Matt, see if he can do anything. Yes, mice lie, monkeys exaggerate, and ferrets are not humans. Right, Amy?
Yes.
Yes. The study saying repeat COVID is riskier than the first death. Yes, this is a good study. It's a VA data set, which is quite large, which doesn't mean it's necessarily right, but I think that's a reasonable conclusion. But Daniel said we need more studies. He wasn't convinced. Patricia said, I went through CVS eligibility checklist to see if I could get Paxlovid. Nope. Huh. It's too bad. Because Daniel just gave it to me, right? Margot, I want to say I love you both. Thank you for all the knowledge over the years, all the laughter like tonight. I wish I lived closer. Yeah, you could come visit. If you're ever in New York, let us know. You come visit the incubator. But thank you for your kind words, Margot. They're very appreciated. Regarding COVID, whose advice do we follow? Paul Offit, Jake Scott, Daniel Griffin, CDC, FDA, Monica Gandhi, Z-Dog, Vinay Prasad, John Campbell, Bob Wachter. I follow Amy. She's a fancy pants at the FDA.
Apparently so.
And Wash Your Cantaloupe could be a cheeky T-shirt, yes. How is the studying going there, Vanity? Is it good? E. coli 0157H7. There you go. Thank you, R. Menon, for your contribution to science communication. I like this. Mice are highly respected in our lab, important for research. Absolutely. Just don't abuse them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone has biases and blind spot, but Vincent always says what he thinks. No noble lies if there is such a thing. I don't know. What is a noble lie, Amy? Do you know?
I don't know.
I don't know what that means. Oh. In politics, a noble lie is a myth or lie typically of religious nature, knowingly propagated by an elite to maintain social harmony or advance an agenda. Wow, I didn't know that. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
In the immune episodes, you mentioned engineering B cells are better than putting antibody sequence into any cells, as they would keep making antibodies. Would this? I don't understand this. I'm sorry. Do you know what this is about? Engineering B cells? Engineered B cells? don't know. I'm sorry. Amy, in Denver, it's cold and snowing. Did you know?
Yes. Yes, I did.
During the stream with Daniel, you said it's surprising that the convergent variants are evolving to escape. I don't know if I said that. Doesn't sound right. I don't know why it would be surprising. I agree. What blood cell mutation protects against malaria?
Well, sickle cell.
Yeah, there you go. That is Dr. Rosenfeld. Do you know Dr. Donald Vinn from McGill?
No, I don't think so.
Is the end of November a good time to visit New York? Oh,
It's a fabulous time.
why is that?
Holiday deck. It's all decorated for the holidays. It's the most romantic time in New York City. It's all lit. There's fun things to do. There's lots of good food. It's fabulous. It's great.
If you come, you have to visit the incubator. It's a destination. I like this science definition. This is the least wrong we are at the present moment. I like that very much. Do you like that, Amy?
I don't know what this is referring to.
It's a definition of science. Yeah?
Okay,
This is the
sure.
least wrong we are at the present moment. I think it's great. I think it's great. Which viruses are spread asymptomatically? Many. But from asymptomatically infected patients, is that what you mean? SARS-CoV-2, rhinoviruses, poliovirus, influenza viruses, many herpes viruses. It's a big part of community spread, asymptomatic spread. Can infectious viruses have different forms, same inside, different outside?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I'm thinking of influenza viruses, which could be spherical or filamentous, right?
Seriously?
Don't be nasty to me, Amy. Don't
I'm
say
not
seriously.
being nasty to you.
Seriously.
Don't always hide behind like nastiness. Like, why do you need to make me the bad guy and pick on me?
Why do
and
you
then
say
you get
seriously?
people
What's wrong with
because
filamentous versus
because it's a
spherical?
total artifact of the
That's
of
not
the
the
lab.
point. It's not the point. The
Yeah,
point is they're
it is
different.
the point.
No, it's not.
They're not different. They're total artifacts of the lab. It would be
Okay.
more like having it would be more like Stan Lemon's non-enveloped and enveloped Hep A. It's a better example than some bullshit about labs.
Hep A with or without an envelope? That's a good
Yeah.
idea, Amy. I like that. But I think I'm right
So-
on the filamentous versus spherical.
No, that's a lab artifact.
It doesn't
It does matter. It does
doesn't
matter.
matter. It's
It
different
does.
forms.
It does.
Okay, fine. I give up. How would an anti-parasite medicine affect a host that has Helicobacter pylori? I don't see why it would. Because Helicobacter are bacteria, right? Unless the parasite medicine happens to inhibit the bacteria.
Or it targets the same cell protein.
When's the next fundraiser? We don't know. We're having difficulty with fundraising. But you can visit
That's
anytime.
because he's a problem child. He seems to think that we're unimportant.
All right. Let's not air our laundry. Lisa, who's in Ohio, you can visit anytime. And when I'm there for ASV, I'll remember in 2 years to let you into TWIV for sure. So there's a lot of comments here about the multiple infections, right? The NPC titled why everyone is getting sick. I'm not sick. Don't know anyone who's sick right now. Yeah, but they like to, get you all riled up, right?
How do they think they get viewers? Then they send advertisers.
I love TWIV at 9:53. Dr. Daniel's comment on Jake's Hut with respect to their very different perspectives, seemed as if from different planets, but now it makes sense. As Amy has said, it's all about 95% vaccine coverage.
Mm-hmm.
It's been generating a lot of controversy. It makes me somewhat uncomfortable because I don't want to do that. But it'll be fine, I think.
How else are you going to get people to listen if you're not controversial?
I understand. I feel badly doing it, though. I don't like pitting infectious disease physicians against each other. That was never my
Well, you
intention.
but you didn't do that. One made a conscious decision to do it.
Why would under 6 months have so much RSV? Oh, that's the target age, right? Less than 6 months of age.
It's one of the target ages.
And it's,
The other target age is over 70.
yes. And how would this under 6-year-old get it if they're staying home all the time? From the parents, right?
Yeah, so
Or if they go to daycare,
yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Is there any evidence that COVID causes T-cell dysregulation? What do you think about that, Amy? Some people have suggested it. But I don't think it has anything to do with the flu
I don't
RSV
think so.
outbreak. No. Now, I think we addressed that earlier, yeah? Let's see if we can move quickly through here. Why is it so hard to believe that the origins of COVID, a lab leak close to the largest virology? Why is it hard to believe? Because there's zero evidence for it, Pete, and there's plenty of evidence for a market origin. Okay, just look at the evidence. Zero evidence for a lab leak. Zero. Zero evidence. Nothing. You could speculate, sure, but there's no evidence, and science works on evidence. We have a lot of evidence for a zoonotic spillover. I ordered a ton on Amazon for my business. Yeah, smile.amazon.com. It would really help us out because they give a good fraction away. So that prion talk, how do they sterilize at hospitals? Very difficult. They throw stuff out. If there's a prion contamination, they throw it out. There was an example of a guy who, he walked into a emergency room and he shot himself in the head. And his brain spattered all over the equipment. And they found later that he had a prion disease, so they had to throw everything out because you can't decontaminate it. They have procedures for that. Can't be deconned. Nope. Yes, with Ebola, handling the corpse is important. Absolutely. But I don't know of any Ebola in China. So I'm not sure that was Ebola. My son and wife are SARS-CoV-2 positive and have been coughing in my face. Why am I not testing positive? Lots of reasons. You may have genetic predisposition to resistance, maybe have a great interferon response, maybe they're not shedding very much. And, in families, you often see that. You get absence of transmission within a family. Hey, how's it going, Amy? You okay?
I'm thinking of Adam Loring's paper that I sent you and Daniel this morning.
What was that about?
Household transmission.
Oh, yeah. This is a really good paper. It's on the list. Let's see. Where is it? SARS-CoV-2 genomic diversity in households highlights the challenges of sequence-based transmission inference. Very good paper. It's in the Amy Papers thingy. So just check that out. Very good. Thank you, Amy. That's very, very timely.
Don't think me, think Adam. He wrote it. He did the work.
Is Paxlovid for a fresh case of COVID in the 5-day regimen as effective as an infusion? A monoclonal infusion? So this is a good question. It depends which Omicron subvariant they've been infected with, because many of them now are not inhibited by the monoclonals, in which case Paxlovid would be indicated. So if they're an area where they know what's circulating, you can figure that out. But if not, just do Paxlovid. Creminis and portobellos are the same species. Okay.
They're the same mushroom. One is immature and one is the mature form. So Cremini is a small portobello.
Is there a reasonable explanation why China has still not provided mRNA vaccines to its population? Well, they don't have it. They're making it. And my understanding was they were developing their own because they recognized their value. But they did not wish to use Western medicine. So they didn't use ours, and they're making their own. So I think eventually they're going to make their own.
This is the stupidest logic I've heard in a long time.
You're saying I'm stupid?
No, I'm saying the Chinese logic of I don't want to use Western medicine, I want to reinvent the wheel is stupid.
I agree. I agree.
So I don't know exactly where you. Well, I didn't say that that's not what they do. First of all, I don't know why it became. I was calling you stupid because I don't understand how this was your philosophy. Second of all,
I'm very insecure.
I don't understand why anybody needs to reinvent the wheel. It's a waste of time and money.
I agree. By the way, we will have a live stream next week, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and just even if there are 10 people here, Amy and I will do it. There you go. Yes, there will be a live stream next Wednesday. And we hope you will come, but we understand if you cannot because it's the day before Thanksgiving, right, Amy?
Yes, but I'm not going to Thanksgiving until Thursday.
I wonder if the flightless bat has a different immune system. Yes, good point. They should do the genome because in the flying bats, the genome has amplified immune genes for the oxidative stress and so forth. Yeah, that's a good point.
So why don't we see expansion of the immune genes in birds?
I don't know. It's a good question. Did you just think of that? And why would you pop it like out of nowhere and stump me like that? Stump the chump.
No, it's because this is how I work. It's like you don't even know me. All right, let's wrap it up in 3 minutes.
Joy Division became New Order. That's right. I had this big argument with someone on Twiv. I went to see New Order in Boston, but I thought it was Joy Division, but the lead singer had just committed suicide, so it was no longer Joy Division.
You went with Ihor.
I went with Ihor Lemishka, who is now dead also. Yeah. I'm not having any turkey.
Really? Can I go to that Thanksgiving? I want to go there. Where is that? That's the one I want to go to.
We're not having any turkey. If you want to come, you're welcome. We're going to be at a
Really?
neighbor's
You're not
house.
having any turkey? She's not making a turkey? What's she making?
I don't know what we're going to make, but I would prefer an eggplant parmesan, you know? I would love that. Carmen didn't define a pandemic. You know, I asked Carl Zimmer to define a pandemic, and he didn't really define it. It. The English Beat, I used to like them. I used to listen to them when I was in Boston in the 80s. It's very cool.
The English Beat is great. Yeah. Mirror on the wall.
Yeah, I'll give stickers out. Just send me your address. Free. I'll mail them to you so you stick them places and you can advertise. Vincent at microbe.tv. I'll send them right out. I'm trying to be good at sending stuff out. Where was that article on boosting, Amy, that you sent me today? Remember? Boosting. Oh, it's by the lady Celine Gounder. Boosting is a symptom that we're losing our imagination in public health here in the U.S. Was that in Atlantic?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so there's a good article in the Atlantic about that, but I don't have a subscription either. I don't. It's decline and contract are both fine when you're talking about antibodies, just not waning. I don't think waning is right. The plural of anecdote is not data.
I just like the name gallbladder 8.
It's very good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's wrap it up. It's time to go.
Okay, so Vanity says there's an MCAT PDF on lab techniques. There you go. And it's on Reddit. Biochemistry for Dummies, right? Cece, thank you for your contributions. Really appreciate it. John, thank you for your contribution. Watching over a year has got me to think about my health. I'm proud to say I'm 16 days nicotine free. Each day gets easier. Good for you, man. I like that. Excellent. We've reached 400 people, so the pandemic is not over. Yeah, we passed 400. The pandemic is back. You're right. Let me just go down and thank people. Amy, calm down. Calm down, okay? Calm down. Here's a good one. T-shirt. I follow Amy. That's what I said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why does C19 come back? It doesn't come back. It's just a part of the pathogenesis of COVID, which is an inflammatory phase after the viral phase. Yeah. Does taking Advil or Tylenol depress my immune response? I think Daniel said no a long time ago. Right, Amy?
Yes.
No, go ahead and take it. What's the story with dark matter? We'll ask Dr. Mingarelli when she's on TWIV. How is that? I'm actually flying into Newark. Yeah, if you want to visit the incubator, you're welcome. I can't resist asking these questions, but Amy wants to go. I don't blame her. Let's just see if there are any more contributions here. Oh, good. Who's going to be here next Wednesday? Where is she? Where is she? Margot, thank you. Good to see you next Wednesday. Next Wednesday night, 8 p.m. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for coming, everyone. Moderators, Steph, Tom, Les, and Vanity Nutrition. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We broke 400 briefly. It makes me happy again. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, it's good.
And everyone, thank you for coming. Be safe. If you don't come next week, have a good Thanksgiving. Otherwise, we'll see you next week, everybody. Thank you and good night. Where's my sign out thingy here? Amy already left. Look at that. She left. I'm trying to fumble. Here we go. Thanks, everybody, and good night. Bye-bye.